Hi folks, today I'm working on my 2001 Dodge Ram 1500 and I'm going to be replacing the blower motor for the HVAC system because my existing motor, I guess the bearings have gone bad and it is driving me crazy. It's squealing, sometimes louder than others. Let's see if I can give you a quick shot of what it sounds like and then we'll go ahead and get into replacing it. So let's turn the fan on. Of course, it acts quiet when I want it to be loud, but I don't know if you can hear that squealing. That's quiet compared to what it normally does. Sometimes it's almost deafening. If you're on the phone or if you're just trying to listen to music while you're driving, it'll drive you crazy. So I've purchased a new motor and assembly. I'm going to go ahead and pull this old one out and hopefully get my sanity back. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is remove the negative battery cable, just in case you're working under the dash. You don't want to accidentally set off an airbag or something or short something out. So, all right, I've got the battery disconnected now, so we can go ahead and get started. So we're on the passenger side, obviously. Right underneath the glove compartment is the ductwork and the spot where the fan motor mounts. So this is the fan motor here. So the first thing we need to do is disconnect the electrical connection, which looks like it's clipped right there. And it looks like I need to get some slack in this wire so I can slide the connector up out of this little clip here, and then I can take it apart. So to do that, it looks like I can simply fold over this retaining thing here, and that gives me some slack. Now I can maneuver this up. There we go, and I've got it loose now. So we'll be able to lift up on this tab, pull it out, and separate the two connectors. So I'll need two hands to do that, but let me go ahead and get this disconnected, and then we'll work on actually removing the motor from the housing. Alright, you can see I've got the connectors separated now. So the wiring is out of the way, and we can go ahead and work on removing fan motor. Now, two of the three screws are extremely easy to get to. You're looking at them right now. There's one here and one here. And there's a third on the back side that I really can't even show you because of where it goes. But it goes back here on the back side up against the, well, there. You can see the hole right there. I've actually already removed it. This is the hardest one. That's the one I start with usually. And the only way I've figured out how to get it out is with a flexible screwdriver. Let's see if I can show you the one that I used. I've got this screwdriver with a flexible extension that I can use to bend like this and get back up there. And you pretty much have to lay on your back on the floorboard here and stick your head up in here and get the screwdriver to engage. Now the screws that are in there are a combination Phillips or 9mm. You can use either one. I've found that it's easier to use the Phillips screwdriver, but you can use whichever you want. But there's just no way to really get a socket that I've found anyway. There's no way to get a socket back up in the back there to get to that one. So I start with that one, remove it first, and if you haven't done this before, you'll be able to see when I get this motor out exactly where that screw goes. But once again, you can stick your head up in there under the dash and you'll see it. It's just tough to get to. So start with that one. That's the most frustrating one, and you don't want to take the other two out and have that one holding the whole weight of the motor while you're trying to get it out. So let's make sure you do that one first. Now we can move on to the two in the front. I'll do this one first probably, and this one last just because it's the easiest to get to. So let me go ahead and remove this one, and I'll get this one started, and then the fan motor should just drop straight down and we can remove it. I'll be right back. Alright, you can see I've got the second screw removed completely, and this one's loose. And you can see the motor is already dropping down. Just keep in mind when you take this one off, you want to keep track of these two wire retainers here that thread through the screw. and hang on to those. You want to reuse them. But once again, I just need to finish taking this out. See if I can do this with one hand. Kind of tricky. Wish I had a camera holder, but anyway, see if I can get this removed. There we go. Now the motor is going to drop straight down. There we go. Also, keep in mind, you've got a vent tube back here, just a rubber tube with a sort of a collar. It's going to fit into a hole on the back of the motor here. I guess that allows heat to vent off from the motor itself. That should just pull away like mine did, but if you feel something binding, just remember that that's back there, and we'll need to try to fit that back into that hole when we reinstall the new fan motor. Now you can see I've got debris and stuff in here that gets sucked in through the fresh air intake. And that, that's probably part of the noise that I'm hearing, but I've cleaned this out before and put it back in, and it still squeals like crazy, so pretty sure the bearings are bad. So pretty quickly we've gotten the old motor out. Let's go ahead and work on getting the new one in. Let me get set up and get it unpackaged, and we'll get moving along. Alright, you can see my new fan motor assembly right next to the old one. Everything looks the same. Connectors look identical. The diameter looks the same. Now you can, I noticed when I ordered this, I ordered this from rockauto.com. I noticed when I purchased it that you could order just the motor without the blade assembly attached. I went ahead and just got new blades. These are kind of nasty, and it wasn't that much more expensive, but you can swap these over if you want. But just make sure that you've swapped the correct parts that you need. You want to make sure that your new motor has a seal. There's a rubber gasket here. My new one came with one. I think all should, but just double check that. The only thing I do need to swap over is this plastic shroud from the bottom. It'll just pull off, and I'll slip that on to the new one. And then we'll be ready to get it back in the vehicle. So it'll just be the reverse process of removal. So let me get this shroud on and get in position, and we'll lift it back up into place. Okay, I've got the shroud on now, but I just noticed that I've got a slight issue. You can see that I've got the hole in the motor case aligned with the hole in the shroud so that I can get that rubber tube connected again. But with it oriented like that, the screw holes in the motor itself and the shroud don't line up. And so this is part of the problem with purchasing non-OEM parts. You never know what you're going to get. So what I'm hoping I can do is take a hacksaw or something, and this is pretty thin plastic, but let's see if I can trim some more of this shroud away so that I can rotate. So I can get this lined up here, so I can rotate the shroud around to match up with the screw holes. Obviously when I do that, it covers up part of this hole, so I need to remove some more of this plastic on this side. So let me see if I can figure out a quick solution to that. I don't know if my pocket knife will cut it, but perhaps some tin snips or a hacksaw. So let me see if I can modify this. Pay attention to this. If you get a non-OEM part, you may have the same issue. I don't remember who manufactured this. I'll try to look at my receipt and post it when I upload this video. But anyway, just something to be wary of. It's not the end of the world, but it'll take me a few extra minutes. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Alright, that was actually pretty easy. I cut this with a pair of tin snips, and the first problem solved. Now, if you'll notice, this yellow wire is in the way of me rotating the shroud any farther over this way. So I'm going to have to nibble out a little bit of the plastic by that yellow wire, hopefully with my snips. I hope I can get them in there to trim out some of this, create a little notch, and then I can rotate the shroud over. So it's not the end of the world, like I said, but it's just an aggravation. So pay attention when you get your part, see if you have the same issue. Let me go ahead and trim this up and get moving along. Okay, problem 100% solved now. I ended up taking a drill bit, like a 3/8 drill bit, and just reamed out the plastic right there. It cut through it like butter, so no problem at all. The wire's not touching, there's no sharp edges, and all my screw holes align. So we're in good shape now, ready to go ahead and get this up into the dash. So let me reposition and move along. Alright, we're ready to reinstall the new motor. Now before you do this, you may want to reach your hand up in here and pull out any debris that you can feel. Like I said, you can get leaves and pine needles in here through the fresh air intake. And I was able to pull out some debris. So, you know, you can stick your hand up in there and feel around, kind of reach over the edge and reach back down, and you'll feel there's sort of a little low point there where dirt and leaves and stuff can collect, and you can actually feel the coils. Just gently kind of brush them off if you can. So I've done that. I'm ready to put the motor back in place now. Now I think what I'll do first is reinstall this screw first. It was the last one we took out. I'll put that one back first to support the motor, and then I'll reach around to the back side and try to insert this rubber tube into the breather hole on the motor casing. And then I'll install this screw and leave the hardest one for last. So that's my plan. Let me go ahead and get moved along. I'll check back in after I get the first two screws installed. Alright, I've kind of changed perspective on you here, but I'm laying on my back on the floorboard looking up at the fan motor, and I've got the first two screws installed. This one, here's the first one that we put in right here. Then I did this one, and I've got this rubber tube inserted into the hole in the motor case. It's not completely fitted in there, but it's about as good as I can get it. It should be fine. Now we're ready to reconnect the electrical connector. Here's the mating piece right here. So we'll connect those, and then we'll secure the wire in this little retainer here. And we can test out the motor. Before I put the third screw in the very back, I want to test it out. And if it works and everything sounds good, then I'll go ahead and install that final screw. Last thing I want to do is put that in and find out that this motor's bad. So anyway, let's go ahead and get the electrical connector hooked up, and we'll test it out. Alright, I've temporarily reconnected the battery and ready to go ahead and give this fan motor a try. So let's see what happens. That's a beautiful thing. Feels like sounds like it feels like it's blown out more air than the old one. And the motor itself is totally silent. All I can hear is movement of air through the vents. So that is awesome. I should have done this a long time ago. I've been dealing with the squealy motor for probably 2 years or more. So it was about time. Alright, well that's great. Let me go ahead and just disconnect the battery cable again just in case till I get finally done. And we're going to go ahead and put that electrical connector in its retaining clip and insert the final screw, and we'll be done. Let me get back in position. Alright, I've got the electrical connector reconnected now, and looks like I don't have quite enough slack in the wire to use this retainer clip over here, so I'm just going to let it hang. It's not hurting anything. It's not hanging down where somebody could snag it really, so I'm going to let it be. So the last thing I need to do is reinstall this screw in the very back. And it's actually, I found easier if I use my camera to help me get it started, because I just can't get my head back there and look up and see it. So I'll run it in as far as I can with just my fingers, and then like I said, I'll use that flexible screwdriver, which I probably won't be able to show you simply because I don't have somebody to hold the camera while I do it. But you just need something flexible to get back there. I suppose you could use a little tiny stubby ratchet, but you wouldn't have very much space to make it turn. So I'll stick with my tried and true method. It's a little bit tedious and awkward, but it works. So I'll run that back in, reconnect the battery again, and we'll be good to go. So this is a pretty simple process, really. It's just that one screw in the back that's kind of a bear, but I'd say it's only taken me maybe 20-30 minutes, including filming. So, like I said, I should have done this a long time ago. It'll be like driving a new truck now, probably, without having to listen to that squealing. So this is something that anybody can do. You don't need any specialty tools other than figuring out what you're going to use to get to that back screw. and you can do this in, you know, probably an hour tops if you've never done it before in your driveway or your garage. Save yourself some money. I think I spent maybe 50 bucks on this fan motor. So to me, it's money well spent, just because I'll have my sanity back now while I'm driving. I won't have to listen to that squealing motor. So hope this video will be helpful for somebody who's got a similar situation and will help you tackle it on your own. Thanks a lot for watching, and good luck.